Hey guys, Video Psych here. Excuse me. Now, if I was going to call this video about, not needing sex all the time, I know that there's going to be some douchebag, trying to put their little comments below this video. So I decided not to call it something like that. I decided to call it this. About how 90% of our erotic pleasure is actually mental or in the mind. Now, the other 10% at best is physical, obviously. Now, of course, keep in mind, I don't judge anybody's sex life, whether you try to have sex every single day, or once a week, or once a month, or once every 5 years. I am a very open minded person, and that is because at one point I saw the real world. I saw the real, way that people have their sex lives, and I've seen what can happen when they engage in these sex lives, etc. Not every type of sex life, of course. It's not like, I've seen everything. I don't think anybody really has, to be frank, but for the most part, I've seen quite a bit when it comes down to it, which is the reason why I've over time become open-minded. I have outgrown all of the stereotypes that I used to think about when it came to when it came to sex in general. And, used to worry about, losing my virginity sometimes when I was younger. Of course, when I was 18 years old, I realized that, you didn't actually need to have sex when, you don't really have to have sex to actually survive, is the thing. And that's something that I think a lot of people get wrong about sex. Sex can be a very fun and engaging, thing that you would maybe want to do more than once or twice or three times, and can even get obsessed with. But for the most part, you don't actually need sex to survive. At least not that much sex, really. Now, some people have laughed at me when I've said this, and I've been upfront with them and have just told them, hey man, like I seriously haven't even had sex since I was, or even hardly even touched a woman since I was 25 years old. And now I'm 31. And every time I told them that, because there are also some people that are like, it sucks, not having sex and blah, blah. And I'm just like, hey man, I mean, I haven't had sex since I was, or touched a woman since I was 25 years old. And they're just like, yeah, right. You seem like you're doing just fine. It's like, yeah, like seriously, man. I haven't even touched a woman at all since I was 25 years old. And he's like, well, then how come you aren't so miserable? And then I just and I didn't really have a big explanation for them, but I just told them straight up the reason why I'm still fine without a lack of sex is because I've grown up. That is the simple reason for why I am just fine, is because I got over that stereotype that people aren't going to be doing well if you aren't having enough sex. But that's not true. And it's because these people were taught growing up that you have to have sex. And that's part of the reason why they're so miserable, is because they have it in their minds that they have to have sex. But what they're really doing is that they're just making their lives more miserable, is the thing. And so where does the 90% of erotic pleasure come into this? Well, here's the thing. Another thing about not having sex and actually not needing sex constantly is that it's also good to have an imagination. Now, when it comes to sex or, masturbation, whatever you want to call it, extreme masturbation, I just tend to use my imagination. And that's really all there is to it. Sometimes, of course, I'll look at photos and videos and stuff. Of course, what I look at is none of your guys' damn business. But for the most part, I use my imagination. And just like I've stated about how I tend to not like having the volume on when let's say a porno video is going on, because it says it's such a turnoff to me that I can literally tell when somebody is faking it just by hearing them, and so I just turn off the video, the volume of the video that I'm watching at the time, and then I use my imagination to put in the voice. Now, a group like the incel, group are a group of people that have absolutely no imagination. For instance, they have absolutely no imagination, and so because of that, they are completely miserable. They are making their lives even more stressful over nothing, and they can't be satisfied because they have literally no imagination to help with not having as much sex as other people. Now, that's not to say that a lot of people are really just having a ton of sex, of course, because the reality is that is actually kind of bullshit. And most of the time, when it comes to erotic pleasure in real life, people actually, for the most part, lots of times don't even engage in full-on sex. They tend to engage in hand jobs, blow jobs, erotic massage, etc. They tend to engage in stuff like that a lot more often than the actual sex. Is what I figured out when I started, actually looking into what it is actually like to have that kind of sex life. And the reason is because when you get engaged in full-on sex, you are taking a risk. And of course, one of those risks, besides, of course, getting disease or a really bad disease, of course, is having children. There are people that can easily die in childbirth when it comes to that. But also, think of it this way. When you're engaging in sexual pleasure with somebody that you don't know, would you want to have a child with that person? No. No. Fuck no. Of course you fucking wouldn't. Only a complete idiot would engage in full-on sex all the time with people that they don't fucking know. Even when you're wearing a condom or having protection, that does, of course, mean that you're completely secure from not having a kid or getting disease from this person. And now, it lessens it. It definitely lessens it. But here's the thing. Most people and guys do not even know how to properly put a condom on or put on a condom on properly anyway sometimes. And so while it might be at least a 90% chance that they won't have a kid with them if they put on a condom properly, it's going to be below 80% if they don't even put it on right. And it happens a lot. That and the fact that only so many condom manufacturers actually test their condoms to make sure that they don't have any leaks. And that's another thing to keep in mind. So when the next time you look for a condom, try to make sure that they are actually verified to actually be sealed condoms, that they have been tested. The only company I know that actually tests their condoms is the Trojan company. So I do get those. And also keep in mind of the fact that condoms also expire. They do have an expiration date. I think that they last like maybe a year, I think, before they expire. In fact, I actually one time heard this one guy say to me that you aren't having enough sex if your condoms expire. And I just told him, so wait, let me guess. So you're having sex just to try to meet an expiration date on a condom? And then he just stated back to me, he's like, you know what? I actually never thought of it like that. I mean, if you want to have sex, I mean, go for it. I mean, I don't fucking care if you want to have sex with a ton of people, but I mean, keep in mind, there's going to be a sacrifice that's going to happen to you guys when you engage in this kind of stuff. And, if you want to, if you're going to have sex, don't do it for somebody else or because of peer pressure. Just do it because you want to do it. Just, fuck everybody else, you know, in a non sexual way, of course. But moving on from that. Yeah, just when it comes to, sexual erotic pleasure in general, and not always needing, you don't always need sex to do that, is the thing. And I always think it's so funny how people treat masturbation like, oh, only losers masturbate. It's like, man, are you kidding me? I mean, even celebrities masturbate. Everybody and their fucking mother masturbates. Who the hell doesn't masturbate besides maybe people that are asexual and have like either 10% of interest or no percentage of interest in sex? And I've only met a few of those. Here's another thing. There's so many different sexualities out there. Man, there's just so many different interests and etc. I mean, masturbation is actually a healthy thing. In fact, it's probably the healthiest way that you could engage in erotic pleasure just in general. But, it's funny because these people, these childish ass people, sometimes they just put it down. It's like masturbation is bad for you or something. I mean, it's just like, man, what are you, fucking Christian or something? Like those Christians that say shit like, oh, if you masturbate, something bad will happen. Well, I'll tell you something about masturbation. What happens afterwards? Fucking nothing. Nothing bad happens after you fucking masturbate. And nothing is going to happen even if you engage in sex. You're still going to be the same fucking asshole that you were before. Congratulations. You are now not a virgin, I guess. So, of course, with that being said, I will just end this video. And again, keep in mind that most of the erotic pleasure that you're actually engaging in is actually at least, if not more, 90% mental. And that you actually don't always need to have sex. Sometimes you can use your imagination. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.